Before it became a symbol of cool, Jim Rockford's gold Pontiac Firebird was almost just another car collecting dust on the Universal backlot. But when James Garner got behind the wheel, it turned into something else entirely, a rumbling, tire-squealing partner in crime that defined 1970s television. The Rockford Files didn't just give us a detective, it gave us one of the most beloved TV cars in history. Yet behind that polished Aztec gold finish lies a web of mysteries and bizarre truths. Why did one of these cars vanish for 6 months, only to be found locked inside a dark warehouse? What really caused that haunting fish smell that no mechanic could remove? And what drove Garner, years after the show ended, to secretly hunt down every surviving Firebird ever used on set? Today, we're not just revisiting a piece of television history, we're opening a classified file that even the most loyal fans have never fully explored. Buckle up. This is 20 weird facts that turned Jim's Pontiac Firebirds into TV legends. Number 20, the birth of a TV icon. Every legend starts somewhere, and for Jim Rockford's Firebird, it began in 1974 inside Pontiac's marketing division. Pontiac wanted a fresh face to represent their brand, something reliable, masculine, but not too flashy. The Rockford Files offered the perfect stage. The studio originally proposed a Trans Am, but James Garner refused. He wanted something subtler, something that reflected Rockford's character, a man who lived in a trailer, took beatings, and still kept his dignity. So Pontiac supplied the Esprit model, gold-colored and understated. It was quick, smooth, but never arrogant. Garner instantly clicked with it. He even adjusted the seat himself to achieve the perfect driving stance for on-camera shots. That attention to authenticity is what sold the illusion. Rockford's Firebird wasn't a show car, it was a working man's partner. And from the first episode, audiences didn't just see a car, they saw Rockford himself embodied in steel and chrome. That was the moment the Firebird stopped being transportation and became television royalty. Number 19, the accident that created the Rockford Turn. It happened by accident, literally. During the first season, James Garner was fooling around between takes, testing how fast he could spin the Firebird in reverse. He wasn't a stunt driver, just a car guy with nerves of steel. In one reckless move, he threw the car into reverse, yanked the wheel, and spun 180 degrees, landing perfectly in forward motion. Everyone froze. The producer stormed over, ready to fire him. Insurance nightmares, they said. Too dangerous. But Garner couldn't let it go. He practiced the move every day, mastering it until he could do it flawlessly again and again. Eventually, the crew gave in, and the Rockford Turn was born. What began as a forbidden stunt became television's most imitated driving maneuver. So iconic, in fact, that the California Highway Patrol asked the studio to add a disclaimer warning viewers not to try it. Stunt schools soon adopted it into their curriculum. To this day, every aspiring stunt driver learns the Rockford Turn, a trick born from boredom perfected by guts. Number 18, the wrong shade of gold. Every fan remembers the shimmering gold Firebird gliding down California's sunlit streets. But here's the twist. The color that defined Rockford's car wasn't even the one Pontiac intended. For the pilot episode, the production accidentally used a Sierra Gold Firebird instead of Aztec Gold. At first glance, the difference was almost invisible. Sierra Gold leaned toward champagne, while Aztec Gold carried a deeper bronze tone. No one noticed. Not the network, not the audience, not even Garner himself. The producers only realized the mistake after filming wrapped. Panic broke out. They feared continuity errors would ruin the illusion. But surprisingly, test audiences didn't care. The Firebird looked great on camera, so Pontiac switched to Aztec Gold for the series run. But the original pilot car remains the wrong gold, a subtle imperfection that became an accidental masterpiece. Years later, a fan pointed out the difference to Garner at a car show. His reaction? He laughed and said, "Gold is gold, right?" Sometimes even legends are born from simple mistakes. Number 17, the disappearing emblems. If you freeze frame some of Rockford's chase scenes, you might spot something strange. The Esprit emblems on the car sometimes vanish. The Firebird Esprit was chosen for its smooth suspension and luxury trim, but those delicate chrome badges were a nightmare for the prop team. During high-speed scenes, the vibration and dust often knocked the emblems loose. Some flew off mid-chase, occasionally even striking the camera car. The crew tried everything: glue, screws, even welding, but nothing worked. Eventually, they kept spare badges in the camera trucks. Between takes, someone would sprint out and slap a new one on. There's a legendary blooper reel showing a badge flying off and hitting the windshield of a stunt vehicle. The crew laughed so hard they started placing bets on how long each badge would last. 1 take, 3 takes, maybe 5. For a show obsessed with realism, those missing emblems became part of its charm, a reminder that even Hollywood can't outsmart gravity. Number 16, license plate mystery and fan theories. 853 OKG. For years, that simple plate number puzzled fans. Was it random, or did it hide a secret? According to the show's crew, the numbers 853 referred to James Garner's agent's office address on Sunset Boulevard, while OKG were the initials of 3 crew members who won a poker bet. But that's not the only theory. Longtime viewer Aval P. Dennis 93 claimed that 853 actually stood for August 1953, the month Garner landed his first acting role, and OKG symbolized his roots. Oklahoma Garner. Another fan insisted the letters were a subtle tribute to Garner's hometown, Norman, Oklahoma. No matter the origin, the plate became a coded signature, and when later seasons swapped it for 853 NMF, no more Firebirds, a crew joke about maintenance costs, fans noticed instantly. Decades later, enthusiasts still debate the real meaning. Dissecting screenshots and production notes, it's proof that even the smallest details can spark obsession, and that Rockford's Firebird, down to its license plate, had personality. Number 15, the tree that wouldn't die. On the Universal backlot near the fake New York street set stood an old sycamore tree, sturdy, silent, and apparently magnetic. During the 6-year run of the Rockford Files, Rockford's Firebird crashed into that same tree at least 7 times. Not by design, by bad luck. The bend in the street layout made it perfectly positioned for disaster. After the 3rd hit, the stunt team begged the studio to remove it. Universal refused. The tree was a heritage prop planted back in the 1930s and seen in dozens of films, so they painted it bright orange and even wrapped it in foam padding. It didn't help. The Firebird kept finding it, like fate on 4 wheels. Garner himself once clipped it during rehearsal, stepped out, patted the trunk, and said, "So, you're the one everyone's talking about." The tree still stands today. Its bark scarred and slightly twisted, a living witness to Rockford's chaotic chases and the unstoppable pull of Hollywood history. Number 14, the fish smell that wouldn't go away. The most famous Firebird, the hero car used for close-ups, carried a secret that haunted everyone on set. It reeked of fish. Not just a faint odor, but a suffocating stench that hit the crew every time the doors opened. They scrubbed the interior, replaced the carpet, even swapped the seats. Nothing worked. The mystery lasted months until someone finally traced it back to the car's previous life. Before joining the Rockford Files, it had been used in a seafood restaurant commercial. For the shoot, the trunk was filled with fresh fish packed in ice. Under the California sun, some of the melted juices leaked into the spare tire well, soaking the metal. The smell fused with the car. James Garner hated filming in it. Whenever a scene required closed windows, he refused. The crew nicknamed it the Tuna Boat. After season 3, it was quietly retired. Rumor has it that when Universal tried to sell it, buyers walked away after the first sniff. Number 13, the stolen car incident. By season 4, the production was short 1 Firebird. A stunt car had been wrecked, and they needed a replacement fast. The transportation coordinator found one in a local classified ad. Perfect color, low mileage, cheap. They bought it, repainted it gold, and started filming. 2 weeks later, the police showed up. The car was stolen, taken from a dealership in Nevada months earlier. The VIN had been altered, the paperwork forged. Universal had to surrender the car and eat the loss. The irony? That very vehicle had already appeared in 3 episodes, one featuring a chase scene where Rockford was being pursued by police. Fans still debate whether this story is true. Some insist it's an urban legend, pointing out that Pontiac supplied all production cars directly. Others believe it happened once, buried quietly under studio paperwork. Either way, it fits the show's tone perfectly. Rockford, the man who always got tangled in trouble, driving a car with a criminal record. Number 12, the fuel economy plot hole. Jim Rockford was always broke. He lived in a trailer, took low-paying cases, and argued over every dollar with his clients. Yet somehow he managed to drive that big Pontiac Firebird all over California. Chasing suspects, tailing cars, and burning rubber-like gas was free. In reality, the Firebird Esprit got terrible mileage. 12 miles per gallon on a good day, maybe 8 in city traffic. And the oil crisis of the 70s made gas prices soar. Fans eventually started asking the obvious question, how could he afford it? Writers once tried to address it with a scene of Rockford siphoning gas from another car, but the network killed it. Too controversial. Another fan joked online, wouldn't gas be considered an expense? A real comment that became legendary in fan circles. Eventually, the question turned into part of the show's charm. Rockford didn't just bend the rules, he somehow bent economics too. Number 11, the hidden compartment no one used. The Firebird's trunk held a secret few ever knew about. A hidden compartment built by the prop department. It was designed to store Rockford's backup gun, emergency cash, or case files. The engineers even installed a spring-loaded latch and a false panel. It was clever, authentic, and completely useless. James Garner found it too complicated. The mechanism jammed easily, and he often forgot how to open it. After a few failed takes, the idea was dropped, never to appear in the show. But the hidden compartment remained, sealed and forgotten, through years of filming. Decades later, when the hero car was restored, the restorer discovered it still worked. Inside was a $20 bill, a few coins, and a small note. Jim's emergency fund, do not remove. The handwriting matched one of the prop assistants from 1977. For fans, that note turned the legend into something real, a human touch left behind inside a machine. Number 10, the Mexican Miracle. During Season 5, the crew filmed near the Mexican border. 3 Firebirds made the trip, the hero car and 2 stunt doubles. On the way back, one stunt car's transmission failed in the middle of nowhere. The schedule was tight, the budget even tighter. The transportation coordinator made a call. Leave it, come back later. They never did. 2 weeks passed before anyone returned, but the car was gone. Local authorities had impounded it, and retrieving it cost more than the car's value. Yet when they finally got it back, something unbelievable had happened. The Firebird had been repaired. The transmission worked perfectly. It had a new coat of paint, even a cleaned interior. No one could explain who did it or why. The crew started calling it the Mexican Miracle. The car ran smoother than ever, used for the rest of the show. Whether it was a kind mechanic or some mysterious Good Samaritan, one thing was certain, that Firebird crossed the border and came back reborn. Number 9, Garner's real-life Firebird. After the Rockford Files became a hit, Pontiac rewarded James Garner with a Firebird of his own, fully loaded and customized. Everyone assumed he'd pick the same gold as Rockford's on-screen car, but Garner, ever the contrarian, surprised them. He ordered his in Brewster Green, a dark, nearly black metallic tone. "I spend all day looking at gold," he told the Pontiac reps. "I'm sick of it." His green Firebird became a regular sight around Los Angeles, confusing fans who would chase him down, shouting, "Rockford, wrong car." One fan followed him for miles, convinced it was an undercover scene. Garner eventually pulled over, showed his registration, and said, "See, it's mine." Pontiac loved the publicity anyway. The wrong-colored Rockford car became famous in its own right, proof that Garner's charisma could make any color iconic. For him, it wasn't about matching the show. It was about driving something real, something that felt like him. Number 8, the washing machine hack. When you watch the Rockford Files chase scenes, the Firebird slides with uncanny precision, always the same distance, the same arc, almost like choreography. That wasn't luck. It was engineering ingenuity born from desperation. The stunt team struggled to control the car's drifts. Regular tires gripped too hard. Bald ones were too dangerous. Then one stunt driver, who happened to repair appliances on the side, had an idea. He cut the metal drums out of old washing machines and welded them onto the Firebird's rear wheels. The smooth stainless steel made the car glide perfectly across asphalt, predictable yet spectacular. Other productions quickly copied the trick, causing a local shortage of old washing machines around Hollywood. The prop crew joked that Rockford Files had single-handedly killed the Maytag supply. What began as a low-budget fix became an industry-standard stunt technique. To this day, the washing machine drum trick remains one of Hollywood's strangest automotive innovations, proof that creativity often comes from chaos. Number 7. The scene where one Firebird raced itself. In Season 4's episode, The Attractive Nuisance, there's a high-speed chase between two gold Firebirds. Viewers assumed the production had brought in an extra car for the sequence. In truth, there was only one. Both stunt cars were being repaired that week, so the crew improvised. They filmed James Garner driving the hero car for all his close-ups, then shot the same car again from different angles to represent the other driver. Later, in editing, they stitched the footage together using flipped frames, quick cuts, and some early split-screen effects. Eagle-eyed fans later spotted the giveaway. Both cars had the same license plate. Some even noticed identical dents and scratches. But to casual viewers, it looked flawless. The sequence became one of the most dynamic in the series, not for its realism, but for the sheer creativity that made one car race itself. It's Hollywood magic at its purest, when constraints force innovation and illusion becomes art. Number 6. The horn that played the wrong note. Every car has its own sound, but Rockford's Firebird had a secret musical flaw that drove one sound engineer insane. The Firebird's horn was supposed to play an F sharp, as designed by Pontiac, yet on set, it always came out as a G. At first, no one noticed, but one audio engineer with perfect pitch couldn't stand it. Every time Rockford honked, he winced. The team replaced the horn 3 times. Same result. Finally, they discovered the cause. A bent mounting bracket subtly changed the resonance, pushing the pitch up half a note. They could have fixed it easily, but by then, 2 seasons had already aired. The wrong horn had become part of the show's identity. Changing it would break continuity. The engineer, however, couldn't take it anymore. He asked to be reassigned to another series. Years later, when a fan mentioned the story to James Garner at a convention, he laughed and said, "It had a horn." That one-liner perfectly summed up the Rockford spirit, rough around the edges, but effortlessly cool. Number 5. The pizza delivery legend. Of all the Firebirds used in the Rockford Files, most ended up scrapped or sold. But one had a second life, unlike any other. After the show ended, a stunt car was auctioned off and bought by a man in Columbus, Ohio. He restored it, kept the gold paint, and used it to deliver pizzas for his new restaurant. The car quickly became a local sensation. People ordered pizzas just to see the Rockford car pull up to their house. Business boomed. When James Garner visited Columbus for a public appearance, someone told him about it. He didn't just visit, he insisted on delivering pizzas himself. That night, James Garner, the real Rockford, drove his old Firebird through suburban streets, delivering 3 pizzas to stunned customers. Local news covered the story, and it became legend. To this day, the same car still exists, occasionally used for special celebrity deliveries. For a car once chased by cops on TV, delivering pepperoni might have been its happiest ending. Number 4. The lawnmower battery trick. Filming inside the Firebird wasn't easy. Each interior shot required cameras, lights, and audio gear, all draining power from the car's battery. After repeated stalls and costly delays, the crew came up with a clever hack. They installed a second battery, not a car battery, but a lawnmower battery, tucked behind the radio panel. Its sole job was to power the interior electronics during filming. It worked. For a while. Lawnmower batteries weren't built for the California heat or the strain of studio lights. They overheated, leaked acid, and occasionally filled the car with a faint sulfur smell. The prop department bought them in bulk from hardware stores, which started wondering why a TV studio suddenly needed so many garden parts. In one episode, if you pause at the right moment, you can actually spot the extra battery under the dash, a tiny secret of TV magic hidden in plain sight. Number 3. The buried Firebird. It sounds like a myth, but this one's real, at least partially. During a location shoot in California's Mojave Desert, a flash flood swept through the set. One of the stunt Firebirds had been parked in what looked like a dry riverbed. Within minutes, water and mud poured in, trapping the car up to its windows. The crew tried everything: tow ropes, bulldozers, even a helicopter request. But the cost of recovery was higher than the car's value. The production claimed it as a total loss. The car was left behind, buried under layers of desert silt. Decades later, hikers stumbled across what looked like a golden car half buried in sand. Photos circulated online among Rockford Files fans, sparking expeditions to find it, but no one has ever located the exact site again, somewhere in the Mojave. They say, lies a sun-bleached Firebird, a ghost from television's golden age, still waiting under the dunes. Number 2, the lost studio Firebird. Between seasons 2 and 3, Universal Studios conducted a routine vehicle inventory. Everything checked out except one, a complete Pontiac Firebird gone without a trace. Not stolen, not wrecked, just missing. The studio searched every backlot, warehouse, and soundstage. Nothing. Weeks turned into months, and eventually the Firebird was written off as lost property. Then, half a year later, a janitor cleaning an unused storage building stumbled upon something under a tarp. It was the missing car. But here's where it gets weird. The Firebird wasn't just parked. It was mounted on a small platform surrounded by professional lighting and film cameras, all abandoned, coated in dust. No record of any production using that space existed. No permits, no notes, no sign of who set it up. The working theory? Someone had been shooting a commercial or a test reel without authorization, got spooked, and ran, leaving the car behind. Universal quietly returned the Firebird to service, but the mystery remains. Even today, no one knows who filmed that ghostly lost scene in the dark corner of Hollywood. Number 1, Garner's final gift. When the Rockford Files ended in 1980, the Firebirds were put up for auction. Studios never kept old vehicles. They were just props. But James Garner saw them differently. To him, those cars were family. They'd carried him through 6 years of stories, crashes, and memories. Garner tried to buy them all, planning to give each one to a crew member as a thank you gift, especially the mechanics and stunt drivers who'd kept them alive. Universal refused, wanting to sell them at higher public prices. Garner managed to buy 2, the main hero car and his favorite stunt car, but the rest went to collectors. Yet the story didn't end there. Over the next decades, Garner quietly tracked them down, one by one. Whenever he found one for sale, he'd buy it, restore it, and gift it to the original crew it belonged to. By the time he passed in 2014, 6 Firebirds had found their way home. It was the perfect closing act for a man who blurred the line between fiction and life. Rockford never forgot his friends, and neither did James Garner. For 6 unforgettable seasons, Jim Rockford's Pontiac Firebird wasn't just a car, it was a character. It skidded, crashed, stalled, and shined, mirroring the imperfect charm of the man behind the wheel. James Garner gave Rockford heart, and the Firebird gave him style. Together, they created an image of American grit that still echoes half a century later. What made that gold Firebird immortal wasn't horsepower or polish. It was soul. The scratches, the improvised stunts, the fish smell that never left, the laughter behind every take. Each dent told a story. Each gear shift carried a memory, and behind it all was a team of craftsmen and dreamers who turned a TV prop into a living legend. Today, those few surviving Firebirds rest in private garages, museums, and cherished collections. But their legacy still roars every time a fan replays an episode or a mechanic smiles at the mention of the Rockford Turn. Because legends don't fade, they shift into another gear. So before you go, tell us, which of these 20 weird facts surprised you most? And if stories like this make you miss the days when cars had character and heroes had flaws, hit that subscribe button. There are still plenty more mysteries parked in Hollywood's garage waiting to be uncovered.